The more you use it, the better you get. And the better you get, the more sophisticated the tools need to become.
It's not something that's going to save you $11 a week. It's not something that's just a refinement. It's a sea change. And so
we learn how to do scalable prompting, then learn what should be containerized in the prompt so you can hot swap it out, what should be variables so that you can adjust the variables or swap those out.
Well, hello, John Munsell. How are you?
I'm fabulous, Myrna. Good to see you. How
It
are you?
looks like you might have a nice day there in Louisiana. You're
Yeah,
in
yeah, it's
Lafayette,
actually
right?
really nice. Yeah,
Good.
Lafayette, heart of Cajun country.
Nice. Well, I'm here in Austin, Texas, where it's 30 degrees one morning and 80 degrees 2 days later. So our plants in the yard bake and then freeze and bake again. So you have to be hardy stock to be a plant in Central Texas. But
No doubt.
yeah, all the kids were riding their new bikes and their new gadgets Christmas morning. So I think there's some benefits to not having a snowy Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, it's really nice to talk with you today about Bazooka, which is your company of 27 years, and it has transformed itself over the years, just like technology has transformed itself. I don't know if we've ever had an industry make more changes more rapidly than technology, that sector. And they happen worldwide now because we're all connected in the web across the globe. When you have a new chip, your server farms are all faster. Thank you, NVIDIA, or whatever we're
Right,
doing.
right.
It's like it just rolls out across the globe in the world of business. And you are a part of our AI revolution. So I'm happy to have a rational, friendly guy who we can talk to about technology that can be scary for some. So yeah, you did tell me that the LSU provost did request that you create some training for their graduate students, the extension students in the business community that come into LSU to stay current with technology and other changes in their market sectors. And you are training people on AI. INGRAIN AI is kind of where you can learn more about that, but you're in the AI revolution.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. So I started off in software development, in 96, right? And then gradually became a web shop. So we were building web applications, and then mobile phones came out. So we had to build mobile applications. And we gradually became a digital marketing agency. And I sold all that off about 4 years ago to theoretically become a fractional CMO.
Mhm.
And then I quickly realized that was the same job I just got rid of. I didn't want to do that anymore.
It's like, wait a minute, what is
Right.
familiar about this?
That's right. This is not where I wanted to land.
Mhm.
So I started working with CEOs every Friday, and I would teach them some stuff about marketing just to kind of build a pool of resources and just figure out what the market wanted solved.
Mhm.
That's when, having gone from a high of 40 employees down to 2.5, I had to use AI to, kind of balance the things out. And so I found that most people were more interested in how I was using AI than they were really about marketing.
Mhm.
And after about 12 months, I just decided to actually teach people how to do this.
Mhm.
And it was in that teaching that I realized there were certain concepts that were critical to get across, but people weren't quite grasping that. And so then I developed a thing that we call the AI strategy canvas that allows them to actually see what goes into a good prompt or a good strategy for AI. And when I presented that to that initial cohort, man, all the light bulbs went on. They're like, oh, now I see and now I get it.
Mhm.
And it was at that point where the provost of LSU called me and said, "Hey, we're doing some cool things at LSU with AI. I would love to come show you, and I'd love to learn more about what you're doing." I'm like, "Sure, come on over." And so, in the course of me showing him what we were doing, he asked me to teach the honors students, and I said, "Well, I tell you what, I'd rather not do that because it's an hour drive, and I don't want to have to go that
Mhm.
commute." But I said, I think we could have a better impact on the workforce if we went through LSU's continuing ed. And so we
Yeah.
developed a program for that. And then it has started to spread literally all over the globe now.
Mhm.
And we're working with a number of universities. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's
That's really excellent. The best people to learn from are professionals who walk their talk. And they can say, well, when I needed to not hire a third assistant, I figured out how AI could help my two assistants being, a technical third person. So you are solving the business problems that they are facing. You had to do it yourself. And
right.
so you're like, no, I've changed my oil in my car. I know something about how to change oil. So this is where you start. This is what you need to know. So to have someone who has done this in their business and is now teaching it to other people, that's the real world examples that sort of are the hack to, escalate a more rapid change, because you have already done it. You've answered those questions, you've had the experience. And I love that you include workplace culture in part of your orientation about how AI will fit in your business, because there is a lot of hesitancy when we face a sea change like we're facing with AI. People are uncomfortable with the level of disruption. And sometimes that brings a fear factor in about, well, what does it mean for me? Or these things are changing maybe more rapidly than I'm ready for. And the kids on the team are like, let's go,
Yeah.
and the older boomers are like, slow down. So, you have designed a way to bring everyone in the workforce on board with AI, with your strategy canvas. I love that. I'm interested in that you say you don't start with the team in technology. If you have people on your IT team, which you might do for software implementations, you first involve the executive team and the leadership, and then you involve everybody. So you want to share that orientation about how you
Yeah.
onboard people who've decided to use your
Sure.
strategy canvas?
Yeah. So you have to remember, or at least understand, I should say, is that this AI, trying to integrate it into a company, is more about change management. And I'm talking about human change management as
Yeah.
well as process management, right?
Yes.
Than it is about technology adoption. Sure, it's a technology adoption, but you have people that are afraid to use it because they're afraid of something going rogue. You have people that are afraid to use it because if they get good at it, they may lose their job.
Mhm.
You've got executives that are afraid to let people use it because they don't know whether or not they'll put stuff in there that the rest of the world will see that they don't want to see.
Mhm.
So you have, all of these levels of fear all over the place. You have other executives who are afraid that they don't know enough about it to lead. Okay.
Yes.
And then you have a bunch of people that are like, look, I got my system, I got my process, I know how to do it. I don't want to learn a new thing, you know? So that's where, the change management comes in. And you have to start with the executive team to show them, look, this isn't about a single tool that will answer the phones for people. This is a new way of thinking, a new way of executing, and everyone can do it with their own fingertips
Yes.
without a whole lot of investment. And when the executives see that, and they get to play with it, on their own dime and time, then they start to realize, oh, wow, this is way different than I thought.
Mhm.
So they see the power of it, and then they also see, okay, at some level, we need to really control this. So we start with the executive team so we can help them understand all of those levels. The more you use it, the better you get. And the better you get, the more sophisticated the tools need to become. And the
Mhm.
more sophisticated the tools need to become, the more tightly you need to govern that, right? So you need to have AI governance in there. And really, what first workshop that we do with the executive team is about helping them understand all of that, but get excited about the possibilities. Because in the workshop, we have them build tools of their own. And at that point, then they realize, okay, well, we should probably establish some initial layer of governance, but the governance has to be something that encourages innovation and at the same time understand when you need to start putting in guidelines and when you need to start putting in rules, right? And really what we work with companies on is, look, here's how you could really move the needle. But if you go about it the wrong way, then you get pockets of resistance or bad outcomes or any number of things. You do it the right way, and it's like you described at the very beginning, people get excited to use it. You do it the wrong way, and a mess.
I think it's important to understand, and because you've done software implementation before, you can explain how this is not that. This
Yeah.
isn't open the box and install, version 2.145. This is not a software upgrade, but it is a company-wide implementation. I think in that first workshop, the leadership team, the management, the owners, the founders, whatever the structure is, they get the full landscape that AI deployment is a game changer for their business. It's not a systems upgrade that enhances efficiency by 5%. It's not something that's going to save you $11 a week.
Hmm.
It's not something that's just a refinement. It's a sea change. And
Hmm.
so understanding how their culture could embrace that sea change and getting their, as you say, fingers on the keyboard, having them roll up their sleeves will help them understand the risk mitigation that AI governance has built into your program. No, measured the risks. Here's how you monitor them. If you have concerns about this, and they shut down whole airports with hackers from Ukraine or something, right? I mean, no, they take over hospital billing systems, and then it takes, some sort of payment to people in a foreign country to get your billing system back. So risk mitigation is a real thing for new technology where everybody's a newbie. To
Hmm.
have a team to say this is how you do that responsibly so that you can mitigate these legitimate risks you might be imagining. I think that's a wonderful, really 360 compass way to say leadership team is going to understand this landscape, the risks, the improvements, but also how this sea change will be a game changer for them versus their competition. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, no, definitely is. And I think the thing that we try to get across to people is, always reading or watching YouTube videos that say, oh, 90% of businesses have adopted AI and all this jazz, and there's going to be massive unemployment. And, there's
Mhm.
so many different messages that are going
Mhm.
out there. I always say, look, let's just focus on what we can control ourselves and where we're going to have the biggest impact. And MIT came out with a study that said that 86%, I think, of all AI initiatives fail.
Yep.
I think they kind of diagnosed root cause incorrectly because they said it had to do with tool selection, basically. And what
And
I
thinking
say,
like software implementation.
yeah, but the thing, so, probably familiar with the five whys, right? You just keep asking why until you get to the root cause. Well, I don't think they went deep enough because if someone is making a poor tool selection, why did they make a poor tool selection? It's
Mhm.
because they didn't know enough, right? And if you don't know enough, then you're going to make poor judgment calls, right? So, majority of businesses out there to adopt AI have either decided adopting AI is, oh, we got Copilot, in our Microsoft license. Therefore, we have adopted AI, but we haven't taught anybody how to use it, and we've only enabled it for three people. You
Mhm.
know, on the other end, they're like, oh yeah, we've adopted AI because we built a chatbot on our website that could answer, FAQs really cleverly, and that's some sort of adoption of AI.
Mhm.
In my view, really just scratching the surface of
Yes.
what AI can do for your company. If you have everybody in the organization who is using a computer more than, say, 60% of the day,
Mhm.
if you teach them how to use AI and you teach them how to build their own tools,
Mhm.
then you really move the needle because say you got 100 employees or even 50. And I don't care. Dealt
Mhm.
with companies that have 50,000 employees. But
Mhm.
if you have 50 employees and 30 of them use a computer all day long,
Mhm.
If you only build one little AI application, like I said, there's a chat bot that does something, barely move the needle.
Mhm,
On the other end, if all 30 of those people learn how to become more proficient at their jobs and speed things up,
mhm,
you're going to see that they're actually creating new capacity in your organization, right? Because taking 3-hour tasks and reduce them to about 6 minutes. You
mhm.
do enough of those, and now you've got a lot of capacity, right? And what the fun part is, because if I can magnify that across 30 people and I can teach 30 people how to shave 5 hours a week off of their day, think about what that does in the course of a year.
It
That's big,
compounds.
big impact, right?
I also think, there was an anonymous Twitter poster who is an executive for a global company who wrote anonymously because he confessed that he reported to his board that this AI adoption of this one tool had some number like 86% improvement in uptime or something. And he fraudulently stated, oh, sure, our AI initiative that I somehow pulled the short straw on and I'm in charge of implementing it. I'm just going to fake the numbers. And so he said, I don't understand it enough to implement it. It was a throwaway to be sure we were keeping up with the other guys. And this is, of
Wow.
course, exactly the wrong way to go about
Yeah.
that. A
Yeah.
single tool, a chatbot, the game changer, the competitive advantage is to involve your business landscape with AI at every possible level. And
Mhm.
you and I were talking beforehand, if you were changing processes for switchboard operators, you would want switchboard operators giving you input on what changes were beneficial. The people doing that job say, this is the kind of help I need. When
Mhm.
you involve all 30 people in your fictional 50-person company, and they build the thing they need, they do it correctly for them. They
Yeah.
get what they need. And so you're saying, come on in the kitchen and cook with me. We'll make sure the cake
Right.
turns out the way you want to eat it.
There you go. And the thing that's good about that is that, the say you became really proficient at your job, and let's just say that you were in HR or something,
Mhm,
and you now had enough experience to know what's a good prompt, what works well, what documents you need as knowledge-based documents to really get the most out of it,
mhm.
and what prompts don't work well. You know which ones are making mistakes. And then all of a sudden the boss comes in and says, hey, we're going to build this AI initiative for HR that helps us analyze inbound resumes and determine which one would be the best ones for us to consider for our first wave of interviews. And then we'll create another one that analyzes the transcripts of those interviews to tell us whether they'll be a good fit, and we can get that write up done really quickly. We're going to bring in an outside consultant to build this tool. Okay. Under one scenario, let's say you have no one in HR that really understands AI.
Which is
All they can
likely,
do
it's
is say,
new.
sure, build us the tool and we'll see if we like the results. On the other end, if everybody in HR had already been building those tools, and they know how the prompts work and they all that. You bring in the consultant and they can actually help the consultant write the prompts better, or they can look at the consultant's output and go, okay, here's what you're going to need from me. I've already done this. You're going to need these. And that's where the things change for businesses is when everybody, we have this thing that we call the 10 levels of AI mastery. When you can
Right.
get the majority of the people on your team at stages 6 and 7 of AI mastery, now they can participate in a lot and they have ideas for new applications that
Yeah.
can be built, right? But they have all shaved hours and hours off of their work week because their mastery is at a level where they can do that. And that is where real leverage is in a corporation when you get everybody at stages of mastery. Man, productivity gains are huge.
Well, and it's such a hack to let your team contribute to the new tools for the team.
Yeah.
I think of the Post-it note story, which I'm sure you know,
Hmm.
that someone at 3M was trying to figure out what to do with his adhesive, and it was not strong enough for what they were designing it for. But
Hmm.
every once in a while, they'd let somebody tinker with, well, what could it be used for? It sort of failed for this mission, and it was great for posting a note on his hymnals without damaging the page for his choir
Right.
practice. And from that little idea, this zillion-dollar business for Post-it notes was born.
Right.
So you let the Post-it note experience happen on the team. Well,
Hmm.
what would be the best way to screen these resumes? What are we looking for in the transcripts of the interviews? And the people with the knowledge of the switchboard or the knowledge of the hiring process in your workplace culture are bringing up those ideas like Post-it notes,
Yeah.
so that it's custom designed for the work you're actually performing.
Well, and you bring up a good analogy with the post-it note thing, because when it comes to AI transformation and talk about change management, that mindset that you just described is key. We want people to be thinking, okay, well, what else could I use AI for,
Yes.
right? What else could I use it for? I mean, I'll give you a strange example because this thing moves so fast. I did something on Monday that I couldn't have done 8 weeks ago.
Wow.
And I can tell you why I know this because I actually did this 8 weeks ago. I was trying to reconcile all these folios that you get from a hotel. The four of us stayed at a hotel in New Orleans doing a workshop for a university in New Orleans.
Mhm.
And I had, email me all these little things.
Or
And
the
I'm like,
inbox. Oh,
right. So I get, I had like 14, no, what did I have? Like 17 of them.
yeah.
And then I go look at my credit card and I had six charges on my credit cards. So I'm like, what's with the 17 folios?
Reconcile this. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm looking at them all. I'm trying to match them up with the charges. I couldn't get them to match up with charges. I literally spent 7 hours trying to dissect this dadgum
Mhm.
thing to figure out
Not a
what's
good use
what.
of your time, sir, but necessary.
Yeah, yeah. Well, somebody
Mhm.
had to do it, right? Because I had to assemble all that and I have to submit it as a reimbursable expense.
Mhm.
And it was just, it was a nightmare. So I had to build a spreadsheet to do this. And I had to, just so I could see where are all these numbers. And I finally realized, oh, a missing folio. I called Marriott. Marriott says, can't figure it out. You'll have to call the hotel. I call the hotel after, half an hour on the hotel's lines. They're like, we'll have our manager call you. Manager never calls. So 6 weeks go by. I finally just go down to New Orleans and it's with my laptop. And I'm like, here's my problem. And they're like, oh, well, we can't figure it out. We'll have our accounting person call you. And I was like, can we just call her now? And they're like, oh, yeah.
How
And so
about
she came
now? How about
down,
right
right?
now?
She came down and we solved it. I'm like, good. It turned out they had failed to email me one, but now I had them and I could put the whole thing together. And now I have my expense reports. Well, fast forward to last week. We went to a different hotel, but same four of us go down to New Orleans, do another workshop for a university. Now I get all these folios in again.
Mhm.
So guess what I did? I took all the folios and I ran them into Claude, took a screenshot of all the charges that hit my credit card. And I said, I need you to reconcile all this.
Mhm.
And then I said, I need you to build me a spreadsheet, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Anyway, it reconciled everything and says, okay, there's one in here that doesn't appear to be from this particular trip.
Oh,
And I was like, well, it was within the same date range. Something's wrong. So I call the hotel. I'm like, okay, I got this mystery charge. What's going on here? And she's like, oh, you're staying with us next week, right? I'm like, right. Oh, that's what that's for. I
oh, it's
prepaid
in
for the,
advance.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, Claude's like, hey, I don't think this is supposed to be here. I'm like, okay. And then I said, but I uploaded 9 folios and
Mhm.
you only used four of them. And it goes, yeah, that's because the other five were preliminary charges. They weren't the actual ones. The ones I used were the final ones. I'm like, you're a genius. And it built the most magnificent spreadsheet I'd ever seen. It had a tab for every folio that came in. It had a reconciliation tab. And that took about, I don't know, 7 minutes.
Wow.
Okay.
And so this
So,
is the exact example of someone in a company saying, how do I make my life easier
right. But
using
you have
an
to
AI
think that way.
tool? Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I was like, oh, how I could. I was sitting here getting ready to take all those folios and try to build that whole spreadsheet again that I did 2 months ago. And I was
Mhm.
like, no, I think Claude can build a pretty mean spreadsheet, and sure did. Man, it nailed it. You just have to know how to describe what you want built and prompting, and there's a process for that we teach. But
So
yeah,
the 7 hours that you saved, and now this tool is ready for this function, which will continue in your business
mhm.
because you're rolling out cohorts. Your first one came out, is coming out this month. You're training people to do this implementation of your AI strategy in this 360-degree view. And you have another cohort in February. And so the demand for a comprehensive integration of AI into these businesses where everyone using a computer is involved so that all the post-it note ideas get included in how it gets customized. You're growing your team. Do you want to share something about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we've been working with businesses for 3 years. We have businesses literally all over the globe that we work with.
Mhm.
But demand has gotten such that we need more consultants.
Mhm.
And so we started a thing that we call the INGRAIN AI Certified Implementer Program. And so people who want to be certified in our frameworks and build their own consulting practice can do that. And this first cohort that graduates this month. And
Woohoo!
yeah, so that'll be great because we need them. We've got some really big projects, and can't handle them without additional people. And these people are trying to build their own practices, but they don't have the tools, the processes to do that. So a great fit for us. And so when these guys graduate, we're going to work with them for another 3 months before we start up a new cohort. And the goal we want to see these guys pan out, trying to be more selective as we move forward, right? Because we want to make sure if you're certified in our frameworks that you actually understand them and you can execute and you're serving your clients well.
Mhm.
Some people just want to go take a course just to learn stuff.
Mhm.
And that's fine, but they would get a different kind of a designation,
Of
right?
course.
I don't want them to be called certified implementers when they have no thoughts
Your
or
implementation
ideas.
strategy is such a core part of what you do.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to spend the amount of time it takes to bring somebody up to the level that we want them to be, I want to, it's like you wouldn't hire an employee and spend a year building them and getting them up to speed only to have them go, yeah, I don't really like this job after all. I just wanted to see what it was all about.
Oh, goodness, no. Yeah, can't do that. Well, be sure that AI governance is incorporated in this to help people manage their risk mitigation, to include everyone that's using a computer, to invite the culture to improve all the processes, especially for repetitive tasks like reconciling travel, budget, receipts, and so on.
Hmm.
It's tremendous that you're giving workplaces a way to dive in to having the AI revolution happen in their workplace. You have a funny story that I wanted you to share
Uh,
about a student
yeah, one of our
who was
students.
building a chatbot, and then maybe her prompts weren't what she thought they were going to be. You want to share that story?
Yeah, yeah. So, we teach people how to build tools. And one of the things that she was building was a chat bot for ophthalmology clinics to use
Mhm.
to train their employees how to sell ophthalmology or services, right?
Mhm.
And so, sales training bot, which is really cool. So, it was internal only.
Mhm.
And she had been building it for a while. And so she's going through our training, and then she was working with her developer to use our what we call scalable prompting, or is it scalable prompt engineering?
Mhm.
And so then she comes to one of our office hours and she says, John, I got a problem. I'm like, okay, what's that? And she says, I can't get my chatbot to stop talking like a pirate. And I was like, what? You
A
know,
pirate chatbot.
yeah, I was like a legit pirate. And she's like, yeah, with the ahoy mateys and R's and all this other fun
Oh,
stuff.
matey.
Oh
What
my
do
God.
you have for me today?
Yeah, right. And so we looked at her prompt, and we have a specific methodology that we use to calibrate things so that when it goes off the rails, you can just change a numeric and shift it back into gear. So she hadn't used those. She was using what we would call paragraph prompting, which is, do paragraph prompting to experiment. But the minute we want to put it in service and we want other people to do it, we're going to break out from that paragraph variables, okay, that could be swapped. All right. And so there are certain variables in what we would call the style that chatbot would speak in. And we have a bazillion of them, but some of them are like humor, sentence length, perplexity. There's a bunch of different things adjust how it speaks. Well, she had a paragraph prompt in there that said, look, I want you to use, because I didn't starting to sound stuffy. She said, I want you to use a little bit of humor, kind of like that crazy uncle. And that was a couple of sentences in this big paragraph prompt. And I looked at it, I'm like, okay, well, your problem, AI doesn't know what a little humor is. There's no way, for that to be calibrated. And so we changed that to humor equals 3 out of 10. Okay. 3/10 or 4/10. That way you can just kind of incrementally move it up. And then the other one was kind of like that crazy uncle. Well, that's what we call prompt conflict.
Okay.
Because the uncle tells the AI it is talking to a child, right? You suspect that, but that's the inference that AI makes by reading that line. And so
Mhm.
apparently, children think pirates are funny. But
Johnny
that,
Depp would agree. He made millions of dollars, but okay.
there
Yeah.
you go, right? But yeah, we
How
fixed
funny.
that up really
So you
quick,
corrected it.
and it worked like a
Maybe
charm.
not
Yeah.
the crazy uncle. So that is pretty funny. And I think that must be part of the learning curve about how your prompt hygiene is or your prompt protocols so
Hmm.
that your output is what you were expecting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, when you learn how to do scalable prompting, then learn what should be containerized in the prompt so you can hot swap it out. What should be variables so that you can adjust the variables or swap those out. And allows you to share the prompt throughout the organization. It allows you to use it for a different use case. There's a bunch of things, but you don't want to have to go sifting through 2 paragraphs to go, oh, if I change the date range here and I change the target audience over there, and where's the other one,
Yeah.
right? So we
Yeah.
just structure it in a nice, neat format. So it's easy to swap those things out.
It also lets that whole company scale more quickly because
Yeah.
they can adopt the tools successfully customized for the work they perform.
Yeah.
So yeah, that implementation team is going to be really key.
Hmm.
You had some thoughts about the future. I know we were talking about the AI arms race and some of the concerns that people have, and you had some thoughts about where our attention should be rather than is China going to win?
Yeah, right. I mean, I kind of live my life this way. I only want to focus on the things that I have control over and I have the ability to change. I
Mhm.
have no control over geopolitics. I have no control
Me
over
neither.
NVIDIA, or anything else. But I do have control over what my thought processes are, who I employ, and what we execute and how we serve our customers, right? That's really where I can maintain a little control. And so when I'm working with AI, what I want to look at is, okay, how do I determine what's the best tool to use for this job? How do I make sure everybody else understands that as well? And then how do I build these tools that make things better, but have people who oversee that, right? So we call it human at the helm as opposed to human in the loop. I don't want my people thinking they're in a loop that AI controls. I want them to look at AI as something they control
Mhm.
because I mean, you think about it. If I got a gal who's been working for me for, I don't know, 13 years and another one for 7 years. And know our culture, they know me, I know them, family,
Mhm.
and I know they're good at their job and I know they can get better as
Mhm.
well. So why would I get rid of them and replace them with AI? I
Mhm.
can make them infinitely better by teaching them how to use AI
Mhm.
because they're the ones with the domain expertise. They're the ones that have the human connection to our customer,
Mhm.
know how to drive AI, give them even more capacity. to have a better relationship with our customers. And what we try to focus on, a whole lot more fun that way than trying to figure out a way to replace valuable human intellect
Hmm.
with a machine that is going to be constantly being upgraded, and that will break whatever it was that you built for that machine to do, right? So somebody's got to oversee that anyway. I'd rather it be somebody with domain expertise and is really good inside of our culture.
I love your vision about how AI is actually going to roll out in workplaces, that people will be happier, that there's a chatbot that resets passwords, a mindless task they don't want to do. It's like, wait,
I
this,
don't know that I would go that far. I would not
well,
let AI reset my password. I would let it remind me that I should,
oh, there we
but
go.
I don't want, see, that gets into the autonomous nature of AI. There's certain
Yeah,
things that AI is moving faster than security can catch up with it. And
sure.
so my fear is AI is going to have capabilities that bad actors can take over.
Like
And,
every other part of technology.
right. And that's where I don't want to have them having access to my bank accounts, transferring funds,
Hmm.
access to all my passwords and all of that fun stuff. I want to have it stuck in my brain
Hmm.
and whoever else is my trusted confidant, you
Hmm.
know. And because like, I don't know whether you've ever bought Bitcoin or anything like that, or, you got
The
all these.
wallets, and you hear about people's wallets get stolen and
Yeah, that's because they didn't do certain things right in that. But, encryption theoretically on a cold storage Bitcoin wallet would take like 20,000 years to hack. But with quantum computing, in the next 2 years, it might take 20 minutes for it to hack
yeah.
that. And that scares me because then what? I don't know.
Well, and it's another reason to use a comprehensive team to roll out AI in your workplace, because your finger's on the pulse as the changes come along. We
Yeah.
are in a sea change. It is changing quickly. You're a rational human who says this is how we mitigate this risk. This is the
Mhm.
parts we want to use it. This is the parts we're going to wait on a little bit and see if
Yeah.
we can upgrade security and then dive in there. So
Hmm.
it's wonderful to have capable people say, I can help you join the revolution in a way that makes your workplace happier and more efficient. And you're going to beat your competition, whatever your competition looks like. So
Yeah.
it's great to know there's a reliable partner to invite. And you have an offer for us. This is the way you give back. You have a digital copy of your book coming out.
Yeah.
How do people
So
take advantage of that?
well, thanks. Yeah. So the book is INGRAIN AI. It's available now on Amazon. But that's a book I published in April of 2025. And the principles in that book are still solid as a rock. What I'm writing now is what you would call an update or a sequel to
Mhm.
that book. Theoretically, be ready in April of 2026.
Okay.
Famous last words. But yeah, people want to go to ingrain.ai/2026.
Mhm.
They can fill out the little form. If they tell me in the comments section, or I think actually the how did you hear about us section, if they
Mhm.
tell me they heard about it through your podcast,
Mhm.
then I will give them a free digital copy and we release that. And
Right.
gonna, yeah, it's gonna be fun. There'll be a small window when I can do that, before companies like Amazon just lock you down and say, oh,
Can't keep doing that.
right.
Yeah. The marketplaces and the rules. So they can get it on Amazon.com right now.
Yeah,
And
correct.
then when they visit this website, and we'll put it in notes and remind them to say podcast, so they heard about it. And
Hmm.
then as that updated version rolls out, they may be able to take advantage of that. That's a wonderful
Sure.
give back. But the other thing you're giving back is in the university format, people come to institutions of learning to say, what the heck happened in technology and how do I keep up? You're at a place where that's where people turn to say, what's going on? You're like, I can help you here. So you're giving back to people that accidentally write pirate prompts and other people so that they're using AI in real time in their businesses today.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, our mission is to help employers retain as many employees as possible.
Mhm,
And if they have to go through some level of contraction, at
mhm.
least the employees have usable skills that they can take somewhere else. And our main mission to keep people employed.
Well, thank you so much for your time today and for the work you're doing in our revolution. And thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks, Myrna. Appreciate it.
Sure, take care.